G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff, Ukraine War update for the 8th of June 2026. I'm your host, the author David Applegate, author of the books The Boyhood of Cain, Power Games, Into the Osman, and The Erotic Tales from the Empire. As the war continues, so does the war of words, and the propaganda. The lies, the misdirects, and misinformation is piling up every day. Not every day, however, do the Russians advance. And today was no exception. They only made small gains without any major town taken, but they made a lot of attacks along the north. And they also made a lot of drone attacks, most of which are not reported by Ukraine. But there was the Ukrainian positions north of Zaporozhye, in Kharkiv, and in the southern region here. Now, you heard about a drone attack in Romania. Why has that disappeared? Because that was actually a Ukrainian drone. So they've taken it. The story has disappeared. Isn't it wonderful? Yes, that's what happens. Cover-ups. Lies. Oh, the people might understand. It's Russian. You're helping the Russians. What, by reporting the truth? Yeah. Kupiansk continues to be a grind, as does most of the front. Very little is happening in the Lyman area. Street battles in Grove de Luca continue without a major progress. A little bit of progress here on the front, but again, nothing significant. The Russians headed, as I said they would, through here to start putting pressure on Kremorsk as they head to Solovsk, but it's all to relieve pressure on Krostokovia. But if they don't shore up the front, then the Russian army will be on their doorstep, so they have to move reserves forward. Otherwise, the Russians will keep leaking through gaps in their front lines, and eventually towns will fall. As you can see here, Russia has made some progress. But not everywhere. Kroshnikovia continues to be sporadic street battles with some progress made. This continues to be a stalemate, but a grind that draws Ukrainian troops into the meat grinder. Continuing on, there is nothing much more to report. The Russians are grinding away. They're still fighting over this bridge. The few Ukrainians holding on at Nova still hold their remaining positions. The Ukrainians halted the Russians' advance here, though the Russians have advanced a little bit. Artillery battles predominantly on these as we go further west, but we get to offensive actions around, but not in Zalesky, as the Russians cannot pursue relentless attacks without consequence to their own men and equipment. As a reminder, this channel is sponsored by you, the reading audience. Empire Valves, one word, empirevalves.myshopify.com. Your one-stop shop for enchanting treasures based on my writing. A lot of traffic to Empress Sora. Beautiful cup. And it comes in multiple. There's yellow, pink, the green, the red, the black, and the royal blue. Had a story failed to load about Russian munitions sourced from India. Yeah, looks like it. Russia has allegedly been buying, rather on the cheap too, ammunition from India, and it does appear the Indian arms export industry is on the rise. Now, more than 60% of Ukrainians allegedly support a ceasefire. I say allegedly because if this was true, Zelensky, who's supposed to be a servant of the people, would be signing a ceasefire. But he's put a proviso on it. He wants EU troops on the front line to prevent the Russian invasion. Yeah. This is neither here nor there. This is all about security guarantees, symbolic presence, Allied forces, European shield. It's all about Zelensky trying to get you to fund, to support, to make Ukraine feel important again. Just, because they lost the Soviet Union, they lost their importance, they want to be the boot on someone's neck, and the EU is willing to be is saying, hey, can we be a willing state of our empire and make lots of money doing what? Weapons and war, folks. Weapons and war. Now, Russia's hit Ukraine a lot of times, but most of it does not appear on the Ukrainian news, despite the Ukrainian news telling us the Russians have hit them several times. It's like, yeah. So, it's just to point out the hypocrisy of Ukraine, and they're not open or transparent or anywhere near trustworthy. But according to the Russians, it's been a meat grinder a week, with an increase of 1,225 compared to previous reporting period. Yeah, so last week it's up. True. Russia's deployed over 3,000 UAVs. Well, sorry, destroyed nearly 3,000, over 3,000, sorry. 3 tanks, including a Leopard. It covered the Leopard. It was an A7, not an A3. And the Russians have taken that tank to their factory within 24 hours. They flew the tank out of Ukraine. Yeah, well, frontline German tank. Give me my toy, says Putin. I want my toy now. All right, some multiple launch rockets out. Launch system, the Grad is Polish. Artillery, usually Polish. Radio electronic warfare, a lot of that's American. Counter battery systems are mostly American. And 600 other combat vehicles, mostly British. Fact is, armored cars are pretty much, well, actually, British and Polish, but yeah, most of these armored cars are, pointless. They're getting blown up. However, not is all well for Zelensky in European Parliament. The Nazi scandal will not go away. It's in fact growing support to strip Zelensky not just of his Polish awards, but of his European awards, and suspend the advancement of Ukraine into the EU until the nothing to see here, folks, is addressed and once and for all put to bed. And Ukrainian elite military units, hero of Ukraine. Yeah. The Polish president is leading the way. Zelensky is in a panic when he addressed the European Parliament. He's nowhere to be seen most of the time in Ukraine, but it's finally admitted that the drone that hit Romania was, in fact, Ukrainian. And once again, Russia has handed a propaganda victory, which will not go far in the West, but with the attack on a civilian passenger train, an attack on a civilian petrol station, attack on civilian infrastructure and power, has hardened a lot of people. Putin is sitting at 75% support. Zelensky's support has fallen by 13% in the last week. People don't trust him to deliver a ceasefire. They keep asking for one. They keep demanding one. Zelensky keeps saying, no, it's going to be European troops or security guarantees. You had them. You abused them. You engaged in a military operation against civilians in your own country. You criminalized thought, which is why European loves Ukraine, because they criminalized thought. People who did not want to think or act the same as other Ukrainians were persecuted and their votes denied, which enabled Zelensky to win with only 33% of the vote, because the rest of the candidates were either invalidated or, this is the corruption of the Ukrainian electoral system at its worst. And in fact, probably exposes the whole world where elections are held, is that those who count the vote control the vote. And increasingly are paid massive amounts of money to look the other way as votes get added to basically pad the vote. The people have relegated, given up most of their rights, and Ukraine, the people are betrayed time and time again by organizations that claim to be for the greater good. Yeah. For the people. And yet, time and time again, it's neither for the people or even for the country. It's globalization, or in the case of Zelensky, personal benefit only. Now, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please support the channel and support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. Increasingly, liberalism is turning into fascism. We're watching the rise of fascism before our eyes, and they're telling us we're not fascist. Wait a minute, we've seen this before. 1984 is happening before our eyes, and our militaries, our police, and all our institutions are complicit. Thank you for watching. Appreciate each and every one of you. See you. I'm talking about Australia. I'm talking about UK. I'm talking about Europe, not America. That's why they hate America so much right now, because we won't admit. We won't do anything, while the Americans won't do anything, and it's just. But by America merely not by existing is upsetting the liberal order, because people outside of Europe look to America and go, geez, I wish we could have that. Particularly Ukraine. Trump could probably trump Zelensky, but it's not America's backyard, and too many isolationists still in America. Don't realize what forward defense means, why having Russia in Europe was going to be a good thing. It would have tamed but too many want war. Tame the tiger, tame the dragon, and there would be no World War III. But the military-industrial complex goes, but we want a war! Yeah, those who don't suffer the consequence of war always want war. See you in the next video. Bye for now.